Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make. And if you are planning on buying a home in 2025, you need to hear this information. On this episode of the Elite Realty Group Podcast, we will be discussing the four biggest things you need to know before you buy in 2025. Get ready, y'all. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Elite Realty Group Podcast, where we bring you the most up-to-date, relevant real estate information you're going to get anywhere on the planet. You get it right here from your friends at Elite Realty Group in Morristown, Tennessee. Welcome to another action-packed, information-filled episode where we're going to be breaking down today the four biggest things you need to know if you're buying a house in 2025, what you need to be aware of. I'm Mike Elkins, your host. Got my co-host Dave Elkins in the room with me. How's it going, my man?
Hey, going good, man. Going good. We're getting that good old East Tennessee weather, 73 degrees here today.
It's big time. The weather's made the change.
Yeah.
So's the real estate market.
Hey, springtime market's coming.
I'm telling you, there's some changes going on. And again, that's why we're recording this episode at this time of the year. Now, we know you could hear this if you're watching or listening literally any time, but with the spring market, the changes coming on, there's a lot of home buyers stepping off the sidelines, stepping into the game and saying, hey, 2025, this is the year. Like, give it to me. I'm ready to go. They're going to be jumping in, if you would say, to this real estate market.
Yeah.
And so as everything in the world changes, so does the real estate market. We're going to dive deep today, and I think we've got some really good talking points to give our listeners and our viewers today about, again, the most important things you need to know before buying a house in 2025. This isn't your grandmother's real estate market.
That's right.
Changed a little bit.
Yep.
It's changed a little bit from just a few years ago. It's constantly changing, though. If anybody that's a loyal listener or viewer of our shows, they know we talk about change all the time. But, you know, last week that we talked about on last week's episode, we broke down some myths. We threw out some things about myths and kind of killed all of that. But this week, it's time to talk about these people that's jumping into this market.
Yep.
That's going to be what you would say making that change by giving these four important things. And these are big ones.
Yep.
And I think as we dive deep into this, we're going to open up some very good conversation and dialogue that's literally going to give the viewer and or the listener some valuable information. So let's go. I mean, let's roll. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Again, we're going to be talking about four of these today with you all. Now, there's a lot of things you need to know, but the last one will kind of tie all of that together, the more things other than these four that there are that you need to know. But here's let's start off. Let's just jump right in both feet and go. If you're buying a house in 2025, it's really more important now that it's been in several years. And here's where the conversation will open up on this is literally number one is you need to understand your budget before you ever jump into this real estate market. Okay. I believe everybody will say and agree with the statement that things economically, financially in our country have changed a whole lot
big time
over the last few years. You can name inflation in that. You can name interest rates in that. You can name home prices in that. That play a great or big effect on someone's budget of being able to say, what can I really afford when I'm going to go out there and buy a house? Now, here's where I'm going to start this conversation. I want to bring you in here. You talk all the time, and we've done these shows for years. You talk all the time about this term we have in East Tennessee called being house poor.
Yep, it's a real thing.
Let's start there. Let's start this conversation of you need to know your budget before you even start looking. Let's start with the number one reason we say you need to know your budget is you do not want to be house poor. Explain that term to these people.
So house poor, I told somebody this the other day. I don't know if we made this term up, if we've heard this somewhere, but to me, house poor is a real thing. There's a lot of people, again, you do not want to get yourself in this situation. But house poor is that person that all they can do is work, just to make their house payment.
Correct.
We got to keep in mind, we have life to live on top of paying our house payment.
Sure we do.
So we're going to have groceries to buy with those $8 eggs. We're going to have vacations that we want to go on.
Sure.
We're going to have Christmas presents. Our kids are going to have birthday parties. They need presents. Your wife needs new shoes. All this stuff. We have to keep that in mind, that we can't just go to work to pay our house payment. So house poor is a real thing.
That gets old fast.
It gets super old.
Again, 17 years now with Elite Realty Group doing these kind of things. We've seen that happen more than you want to see it happen.
Absolutely.
And so it is a real thing. It's super exciting to think, and it's a smart move to become a homeowner.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, you got to know that budget. Like you have to know what it is that is going to allow you to comfortably become a homeowner and not put you in that category of being house poor. Look, we all work to better ourselves, to provide for our families, and a home is a part of that. Mm-hmm. But when a home becomes all of that, and again, everything else that you alluded to, when you also have to eat.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to say. Like I want to throw this in. We are not lenders. We don't know how the whole mortgage side works. We have a general knowledge of it, but I'm saying like that's not our thing. And I want to say that I think a lot of times people think that the lender is going to keep them from that happening.
Right.
They have, from what we understand, they have certain things that they look at.
There's
as far
guidelines.
as your debt to income. Yeah. And groceries and Christmas presents are not on that list.
Sure.
So take those things into account. Can you get approved to buy a bigger house with a bigger monthly payment? I'm sure you can. But keep in mind that also you have to pay your bills. You have to eat. You have to do that. That's not stuff that I'm aware of that a lender takes into account when they are telling you this is what you can afford. That's why, going back to what you said, a budget is extremely important. When you know what you can afford, we eat this much in groceries every month. Those things. You have car maintenance, gasoline, all that stuff. You take that into account. When you have a real life budget, you can now sit down and say, okay, Mrs. Lender said I can buy and have a $2,800 house or a $2,800 a month house payment.
Sure.
Your income might be able to support that. But when you sit down with your budget and you realize this is what you're spending per month, do you need that $2,800 a month house payment? Or can you do a $2,000 a month house payment or a $1,500 a month? Mm-hmm. That's where you got to know this stuff going in.
Yeah, and a lot of people, again, will look at it because the excitement of becoming a homeowner. They'll look at those things that are outside of what you would say a lender is going to take into consideration. Vacations, again, buying your groceries, just literally taking your kids to a fun event, going to hang out, having Christmas presents, birthday presents, mom and dad's birthdays. You got all this stuff, going out to eat a dinner. Yep. You know what I mean? Taking your family out to eat. Those are things that a lot of people look at and go, well, if we just cut this, we can take that higher payment. And that's true. Okay. That's true. But having a budget and understanding, okay, like I'm not talking about cutting this next month. Right. I'm talking about cutting this for as long as I want to make this house.
It's hard not to go out to eat for 30 years.
You know what I'm saying? You got to think about those things. A lot of people's not going to see it, especially on the real estate side, and throw this information out to you. But look, we don't want to see you make that mistake.
Right.
Again, we're talking about today 4 important things you need to know. If you're buying a house in 2025, you need to know you got to understand your budget. You don't want to become house poor. On top of just the purchase of the house, the payment of the house, you got to understand there's going to be escrow items like taxes, insurance. That's got to be placed in there. Yep. But now that we've got this house and it's 100% ours, when the heat pump goes out, there ain't nobody coming to the rescue but you.
Yeah.
When the maintenance needs to be done around the home to get it ready for spring, nobody's coming to the rescue but you.
Plumbing leaks, backed up septic system.
That's true. The roof needs fixed. It's you.
Yeah.
So in addition to you going out to eat, buying Christmas presents, having all the stuff that you want to have that is part of your life right now. You need to understand your budget to say where realistically in what can I keep, what do I have to have to I gotta have certain things. I call it non-negotiables.
Yep.
It's non-negotiable that you gotta feed yourself. Okay. We can't stop that.
Yep.
And those are things you need to take into consideration. And looking at understanding, sitting down with, if it's just you, you're a single person, you're buying this house, it's 100% on your back to make it go. You need to write this stuff out. And like you said, go back and look 6 months to a year. What has been my spending habits?
Yep.
What has been there that's outside of those things? Now, again, lenders are going to take into consideration your car payments, student loan payments, those kind of things. They're going to go out there and say, okay, we see you have to pay this.
But they don't take into consideration life.
No, not at all.
That's the moral of the whole story.
Not at all.
They don't take in your spending habits. They know who you owe and what you owe.
Sure.
But they don't know what you do with your money. So keep that in mind.
My spending habits are going to be different than yours.
Absolutely.
The person watching and listening is going to be different than ours.
Yep.
But writing that out for 6 months to a year and seeing, one, it's a good eye-opening exercise for you to do.
It is, yeah.
Because you get to paycheck and you're like, golly, I can't wait to get my paycheck. I'm broke. Well, write it out and see where your money's going.
Yeah.
That's just going to help you again to be a better budget person.
Yeah.
But especially when you're going to throw this home payment on there. 2025, it's your goal to get a house. Number one is, we've spent enough time here. Understand your budget before you ever start looking. Now, you're going to get a real big tip of the day leg up, if I could use that slang term. You're going to get a big leg up by sitting down with the person who is going to be giving you the money, the lender, the mortgage person, your banker, whoever that is, getting pre-approved, pre-qualified, whatever term you want to put before you ever start. Then they're going to say, hey, you can afford, according to the records I'm looking at, this, which will allow you to work backward and do exactly what you said a minute ago. Figure out that budget. That's number one. Give us number two.
Number two is we just need to kind of figure out what is going on with this housing market.
This is a good one.
A couple of things I think we need to talk about is, one, what is the prices doing? Are they still rising or are they stabilizing out? I think we've talked about this, and they're definitely stabilizing.
Sure.
The market is coming back to, I love it. I seen somebody the other day that's a guru say that we are now moving into a normal housing market.
I love it.
And I thought, man, no life. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before.
Yes.
But that's real. So again, going back historically, home prices are still up. They're still going up. But I'm saying overall, as the market, the pricing has kind of stabilized. We are where we are now. We know that there's inventory. We know all those things. The unknown to the whole housing market, and the one that's causing the biggest hesitation in the market is interest rates.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we could sit here and lie to you and tell you that we know exactly what interest rates are going to do in 2025, but that would be all that it would be, is a lie.
Yes.
Nobody knows realistically what interest rates are going to do. So go back, recap what we've said before. If you're wanting to buy a house in 2025, inventory is coming up. So you now have more options.
Yes.
Go back to what Mike just said. If you know your budget and you know what you can afford, I don't want to sound crazy, but who cares what the interest rate is? If it fits your budget, it fits into what you need.
You're going to get in trouble for that.
I know. I mean, I know when I said that.
That's all right. We get in trouble all the time.
But I'm saying, like, you can't, as the hater who's watching this, you don't know when it's right for somebody else to buy a house.
Right.
It might not be right for you right now, and that's totally okay.
That's okay. That is
if you want to wait until interest rates comes back down to 2%, it don't hurt you. It don't hurt me. Do what you feel you need to do.
Sure.
But if there's a person there that's looking and they want to buy a house, they can afford the house. Buy the house.
Yes.
If interest rates come down, good for you. Go refinance.
Correct.
If interest rates go up, good for you. You bought it when interest rates was lower.
Right.
Because again, we say this housing prices are going to be up higher next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just look back. Historically, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Home prices go up. They will go up. How much? Who knows? But so that's the two things you got to keep in your mind is what is the market doing? Inventory's coming on the market. Prices are stabilizing. You're seeing sellers negotiate now. Okay.
Yes.
You are seeing sellers actually negotiate the price.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay asking price anymore. Disclaimer. Maybe you do where you're at.
Right.
Home prices here, we're negotiating now. Okay,
Yes.
that's a good thing. We are
Yes.
negotiating back to normal.
Yes.
We're getting back to normal. We are negotiating.
Yes.
We ain't on eBay no more.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
that's a good thing.
Yes.
And again, interest rates. Who knows what that's going to do? How it's going to do? But if it fits you, do you, man?
I agree, and I think there's two things I would like to add to that. That's maybe controversial, at least one, maybe not. You be the judge. But I honestly do, looking at our local market, my first thing, and this is not controversial at all, but the first thing I want to add, we are sitting in Morristown, Tennessee. We usually say this every time we do a podcast.
Yeah,
we are in
that's our
Morristown,
disclaimer.
Tennessee. We know the market here very well. The East Tennessee market, we know it very well. If you're listening to me in Texas and Michigan and California and North Dakota, I do not know your market.
No.
It's so market specific. That's why if you're buying a house in 2025, number 2 today is something you need to know. You need to understand your local market. What is happening where you live? What is happening in the world today in the real estate market where you live? You need to understand that. The second thing that I want to add, here will come the controversy, is I honestly, from sitting in a real estate chair in Morristown, Tennessee, I have not saw this market as far as the real estate market and its function, okay? I've not saw it this much in the buyer's favor in many years.
It's been a while, man.
And the reason I'm saying that is, if you'll listen to the rest of the story, is exactly what you said. The offers of the eBay highest and best offer, and you better come out of the gate with that.
Yep.
Not happening today.
Nope.
That's good for a buyer, folks.
Great for a buyer.
The second thing, as far as I'm saying that is not only are you seeing that asking price, you are now seeing on 90+% of the deals that we're working, negotiations are happening.
Yep.
That comes in the form of negotiations on the price, negotiations on the concessions, negotiation on the inspections, negotiations on the contingencies. You're seeing negotiations open up, which again is good for the buyer.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good for the buyer. There are still some things that, yes, we would all love to change. I'm sitting here as a real estate person giving you this information that the way I make a living is sell homes, and I'm paid off of the purchase price of a house. I still sit here in this chair and say, I wish home prices were lower.
Yeah.
There ain't a thing I can do about that.
Right.
Though, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing can I do about that.
I love it though. We're getting. I feel like we're gonna go crazy.
We are.
But I love it when people say that us realtors
are controlling
this. We have no control over it. We just ride the market, man. Like, I mean, I can't tell you that, you know what I mean? Like, we tell you what your house's value is. I can't tell you what it's going to sell for.
No.
I can't force somebody to give you that amount of money.
Absolutely.
So the market controls itself. Supply and demand. That's everything. That's why eggs are $8 right now.
That's it,
people.
man. We're on a roll right
Okay,
now.
it ain't the chicken's fault. You know what I mean? That's just being real.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's gonna be a good clip. But I mean, it's true. You got to understand the market where you are, okay? And you are a part of that market. You are part of that.
Yeah.
What you pay dictates. What your neighbor paid dictates what's happening in that market. So again, it's something that you have to weigh those options out, see how that's going to work for you in your budget, but understand the market where you live. That's 2 of the 4. Yeah. What we're talking today is important things to know before buying a home in 2025. We're going to give you 4. There's so many that's out there, but these are the 4 we want to talk to you about. We've been through 2. Let's hit number 3. And this is a big one. I literally just had this the other day, and This is major. This is not just 2025 though. This is like all time, every time. You need to make sure if you're buying a home in 2025 that you do not, I repeat, you do not skip the home inspection.
That's right.
Okay. It's so important, y'all. Like, if we really stop just for a moment, take everything out of it, any opinions out of it, you're probably getting ready to make the biggest purchase you ever made in your life.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about home prices. Okay. They're what they are.
Yep.
But you're getting ready to probably make the largest, if not one of the largest purchases you will ever make in your life. That 500 to 800 to 1,000 to whatever it is in your area, 300, it doesn't matter. That investment in that home and hiring a licensed home inspector to totally go through that home and check it out for you is one of the best protections on your investment
Absolutely.
you will ever make. So
Yep.
I got a story with this, okay?
Okay.
This is
Story
why,
time with Mike.
this is why I say this. Like, we literally had a buyer the other day, that first-time home buyer. That's a checkbox, okay? First-time home buyer, super excited, and should be. Like, I mean, massively should be. It's an exciting thing to buy a home. But anyways, of course, we always recommend you get a home inspection. They did just that. So, when looking at this house to the eye, great house, great location. I mean, like, this is it. Like, there can't be a whole lot wrong with this. These people took care of this house. Just wonderful stuff. Well, the home inspection, a lot of things happen, okay? They just a lot of moving parts. I ain't going to dare dive into all those parts. But in the home inspection, okay, it was discovered, and I can't even wrap my head around this, but it was discovered in the home inspection. They actually provided us pictures of 5, but the report was written up. Here's pictures of 5, but there are multiple of these that exist. Someone had literally took the floor. You can call it truss, you can call it beams, you can call it
Joyce,
whatever you want to call it, floor joists, whatever. 5 pictures were provided to us that, I kid you not, 97% of that joist had been cut with a skill saw from the bottom to the top, that literally probably the length of my fingernail.
Wow.
Was all that was left on both ends of these joists.
Yeah.
This buyer would have never known that had there not been a home inspection.
No.
The rafters, okay, the ceiling rafters, the roof part. I'm getting a phone call. Let's see if we can do something with that. The rafters had 4 that were broke. Were totally broke. That's a big thing.
That's
like we're talking about. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Home inspection uncovered that.
Yeah.
If you're buying a house in 2025, don't skip the home inspection.
No.
Whatever you do.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a brand new one, because we got those stories too.
Yeah, we tell you stories about them too.
We can talk about those too, but important thing to know, if you're buying a house in 2025, do not skip the home inspection.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to touch on this real quick. Is you see this a lot of times. So a couple of things I want to say about this. You see homes advertised as is.
Sure.
Okay. Now, let's just clarify this for a minute. As is. As the buyer, you have the right to have an inspection. I don't care what it says.
Right.
I don't care that it says as is.
Mm-mm.
You can still have a home inspection.
In Tennessee.
Yeah, let's put that in there.
Yes.
So have that inspection.
Mm-hmm.
If the seller really says it's as is, we're not doing no repairs, that's okay.
You know that going in?
You know that going in.
Sure.
But you can still, in Tennessee, have your inspection to know at least what you're getting into. So, 2, just because it's as is, don't mean sometimes that you're going to save money. And what I mean by that is those could end up costing you more
A whole lot.
in the long run.
A whole lot.
So especially if it says as is,
Right.
have that home inspection.
I agree 100%.
If it's possible for you to have it, have the home inspection.
Do it. Do it. Because if there's a real estate agent watching this, you can chime in, and you've got stories too. We've all got stories of those home inspections that, man, they saved someone, like you said, thousands of dollars.
I mean, when you start talking about foundations and stuff like that,
Yes.
that's major money, man.
Yes,
Major.
it's big time. It's big time. That's 3 or 4. Bring us home with number 4.
4, we're going to throw a shameless plug in here.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. If you do number 4,
all this other stuff kind of helps itself.
Kind of helps.
But there's a couple things I want to talk about. So my number 4 is make sure you find you a good agent in your area, wherever that's at. Find you an agent. For one, an agent is going to be more than happy to talk about all of this stuff with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, they're going to be able to help you, guide you, give you information, give you these stories that you want to hear about why you should have home inspections. They're going to be able to help set you up with lenders. They're going to be able to help tell you on average how much is negotiations happening in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's things that you want to do. But I want to talk about for a minute why you should have a buyer's agent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a big deal because a lot of times people just think I can call the selling agent. Can you? Absolutely. Let me tell you some reasons why I think you should have a buyer's agent. Just like we said a minute ago about that price, okay, about there's negotiations going on. What did that listing agent tell those people that they think that house is worth?
Absolutely.
That's
where it is.
That's where it's at.
Yep.
Okay. A buyer's agent is going to try to help you negotiate that.
Sure.
A listing agent, a seller's agent, they represent that person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They represent the seller. You need somebody as a buyer's agent going to represent you, going to look out for your best interest.
Good info.
Okay. So keep that stuff in mind.
Yes.
Keep those things in mind when you're looking.
Yes.
Can you call the selling agent? Absolutely.
Sure.
You sure can.
Yeah.
Keep those things in mind that you need somebody to represent you.
We're in the field and we know this firsthand. Realtors, real estate agents, they kind of get a bad rap sometimes, and that's
True.
okay. You got
Yeah.
thick skin, we can handle it.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, at the same period of time, whatever you want to say there, if you're out there buying a house, you're going to buy a house in 2025, there are good and bad in literally everything in the world.
Absolutely.
There are good and bad.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think so many people don't know this, and we again are in this arena every day of our life. You can interview, you can do whatever, have conversations with, have sit down meetings with as many real estate agents as you want to,
Mhm.
until you find one that you're like, that's the one for me.
Mhm.
Our personalities fit. I like who they are. I like what they stand for. Whatever you're looking for in your real estate agent, you don't have to take the bad apple of the bunch.
No.
You don't have to take the best one of the bunch to
Yeah.
be equal opportunity here. Take the one, work with the one that best suits you.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do think it's important that you find one, stick with them, long as they're doing you right. Find one, stick with them till you get the job done.
Yeah.
You learn each other. You become knowing each other. It becomes then more of, after the sale, it's more of a friendship than a business relationship.
Yeah, I mean, we tell people this all the time. It's a relationship, man.
Absolutely.
It really is, because like it should be. Yeah, yeah. So, but if you're calling that listing agent,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're calling that listing agent, if they're a bad one, you're stuck. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you picked them.
Right.
So I'm saying, like, think about more than just, I'm saying, like, again, going back to, it's the relationship. I want to know this is somebody who's got my back. They are in my corner. They're going to help me negotiate the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
We say this a lot, and because realistically, we've been doing this since 2000. I'm saying we've been doing these shows since 2017. Our whole philosophy on everything is we want to be as much open and upfront with people as we can.
Sure.
We are giving people information on how to buy and sell houses, and do that if you're the seller and make the most money, if you're the buyer and get the best deal.
Sure.
That's what we're doing. Educated people are a good thing.
For us,
it's a really good thing when people understand that what we're trying to help them do.
Sure.
So that's our whole thing. We're just trying to help educate buyers, sellers, clients, whatever you want to throw in there
Yes.
on how to negotiate real estate.
Great point. And again, there are in all markets across the land. Find the one that fits you. That's the thing. You may be, let's just say you're selling a house. Same thing works on that side. We're just talking about buyers today, but interview till you find one that fits you. You know, if you've got a bad one in the past, sorry.
Right.
But just because one person is bad doesn't mean everybody's bad. But and on the same turn, to play in your line of thinking, just because one's good don't mean everybody's good.
That's right.
Find the one that fits you. Don't throw all in a hat just because maybe you had or heard of a bad experience. Working with a licensed realtor, a real estate agent can be a very beneficial thing, especially when you find the right one. We've been talking with you about today the most important things, 4 really important things that you need to know if you're buying a house in 2025. Our hope is this information, as Dave just said, we just want to put out information. You know, educated people are much more easier on our side when they're like, holy cow, I don't know anything about this. It's much easier when everybody knows what's going on. So hopefully the information we put out today to you has been valuable to you in your real estate journey. If you're in the East Tennessee area, you want to have a sit down chat, talk with us, meet us, whatever, look us up. We are Mike and Dave Elkins at Elite Realty Group in Morristown, Tennessee. We'll be glad to have those conversations with you. So until next time on the Elite Realty Group Podcast, we hope you are greatly blessed. Whatever you are watching us or listening to us on, make sure you subscribe to get that up-to-date information. Until next time, I'm Mike. That's Dave. We will be back on the next episode of the Elite Realty Group Podcast. You guys have a great day.